So, Coultermans, thanks for the follow, by the way. All right, so let's talk about this map. What we do is we go through and discuss maps from each different class and where you'd want to go and that sort of deal, okay? So, clan battles, there we go. Clan battles, we have these three maps, right? We've got A and B, and then we've got C in the middle here. Now, there's no carriers in this mode, so you only have two modes. Sorry, what the heck? There we go. Probably because the battle started. So you've got three classes to consider positioning. On this particular map, there are some challenges. We always start with destroyers, so let's talk about destroyers first. A lot of times we will see destroyers being sent to the Charlie cap, especially if there's an odd number, we'll see the majority sent to the Charlie cap. So if there's one destroyer on each team, it'll most likely go at Charlie. Now, you have to be extremely careful because a lot of players will go straight in here. All right, and then they'll come around the corner, and then they'll put themselves into a position to back out if they get spotted by radar or something. Now, you can do that. You can do that. Keep in mind, though, that if you do that... oh, I never set up the thing for it. Hold on a sec, guys. If you do that, you're going to put yourself at risk of being basically slapped around by a radar cruiser that might show up. So you have to be considerate of that as you go through as a destroyer here. You want to be very, very careful that you don't miss out on it. There we go. Hey, we got another donation. We're at 641 now. Thank you very much, PJ Matthews, for your $15 donation. Really appreciate that, sir. So that's one option from the north. From the north, you can also approach from this direction and kind of kite around if you want to. A very safe way of doing this, safe-ish way of doing this, is if you come to this side of the island and back up, you can try something like that too. From the south side's a little bit harder. Because the island, because of the way the island kind of bumps out here, you can't think of using the island as cover as much. So you can back in to like here. If you back into here, you'll see any radar cruiser that gets that's positioned. I've seen some players as well like to go in through the middle of the map, and they'll try to back in right here. You can try that. That's also pretty risky. So a couple of options there for destroyers. Obviously, if you are assigned the other flank, just get the cap, right? And then once you got the cap, you can either scout ahead for the rest of the team on the west 2-3 line area, or you can go middle and reinforce what's happening at C or whatnot. Typically on this map, C is a stalemate. That's the contest cap side, and AB is the really flanky side. So that's destroyer positioning. Not much to talk about with Land of Fire with destroyers, really. It's just find the positions to put yourself in a strong position by getting a cap, but also not dying to radar. That's very important. Now let's talk about cruisers. Cruisers have a much more difficult set of decisions to make here, right? Okay. If I'm playing as a radar cruiser, we typically see a Russian cruiser post up on the 7 line, right, along these islands. It's a very strong position for a Russian cruiser to be in. Okay, you can pop your radar, cover all the cap, and nothing can shoot you from the right side of the map, from the center and the other place. So we often see Russian cruisers there. You could also play a kiting away cruiser, so you could be kind of pointed this direction, kiting away with the Russian cruiser. Also with the I'm gonna stop my carrier. Also with the idea being you're going to cover the cap and radar as needed with your guns pointed south and then run away if it gets overrun, you could do that too. Now, if you play an American radar cruiser like a Des Moines or a Salem, I personally enjoyed playing around this island right here. This island is nice in that you can back up a little bit here and you can dig yourself in, and it's very hard for you to be spotted. And then you can pop out again and shoot if you need to. So that's kind of nice. Would it be the same for the Worcester? I don't think so. This island here is a bit of a trap for Des Moines because there's really... you have to back up all the way to here to be invisible because of that, the way the rock is set up. So I'd be careful about that. Yes, radar ears, exactly right. Now, what else? If you're playing a Worcester, personally, I would say a Worcester is going to be better served from the north. Like any spamming cruiser, really, behind this island is a very strong position. Minotaur, same thing. I would go behind this island. If you're smoked Minotaur, you can play a little more aggressive if you want to, but frankly, this island provides you so many good shots over it. The problem is you just have to wait for the enemy to come to you. Now, alternately, you could move your way up, and typically you'll see at least one enemy ship deployed to go along this flank, especially in clan battles, because holding this 10 line is extremely advantageous for your team, especially getting to this fidget spinner island and possibly breaking around it. Although that's kind of tough to get through it, but at least having that spot there is going to be very handy. Gaelic, thank you very much for the resub, dude. 2-month streak. Appreciate that, man. So on this flank, that's where I would put those kinds of cruisers. You'd put Smoke Minotaur on C-Cap. The problem with Smoke Minotaur on C-Cap is... if you put a Smoke Minotaur on C-Cap, and let's say you're from the north, and the enemy has radar cruisers there, they just radar you, and then you die. So I don't like putting a Smoke Minotaur on C-Cap just for that reason. Once you know where their radar is, and you know it's safe, by all means, go right ahead. But early on, I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, there's that, right, Kadu? From the south side, the radar cruiser spot for the Russian is pretty much the same. For kiting away is the same. Now, a Des Moines, you could put a Des Moines here. Okay, look at it from this position. You've got incoming shells here, 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 even from over here. You do have the ability to back up, though. So this is a pretty strong position for Des Moines. This side here, I feel like the islands are a little bit too low, and by the time you get to this position, your flank is pretty well exposed. So I don't like sending a Des Moines there early on. Maybe later, depending on where things go. Gaelic, exclamation point charity. Should get you the link. And then over on the side here, same deal. You know, you can work your cruisers up. If you've got a Worcester on this flank, you can try to mess around with this island here. Although I find that that it just doesn't work so well. No, exclamation point charity is what you would type in chat, Duckman. There you go. Now, if you're playing a flanking cruiser like a Venezia, Henri, right, any of those kinds of cruisers, obviously you're going to probably head west. And you're probably going to go with 2 or 3 ships going out west either side. And that makes perfect sense there with the cruisers. In the middle, it's really hard to play cruisers in the middle early on. Maybe later you can, but early on I wouldn't send any cruisers to the middle of the map. One other thing that I mentioned, or didn't mention, is long-range artillery kind of cruisers like Hindenburgs. You can put them on the sea line and just kind of lob shells over if you want to. Now, let me talk about the most important island in this game, in my opinion, in this map. And that would be this central island right here. If you're playing a Russian cruiser, this spot right here, if you're on the north spawn, is where you want to be. You want to end up. You have so much control over so much of the map. It's a very, very strong position. Likewise, from the south, radar cruiser position from is also going to be right about here. Same deal. We saw a lot of ships take this in King of the Sea, including the Kremlin a couple of times, which I thought was pretty wild. So anyways, so this is a very strong island for those radar cruisers, okay? You just have to be very careful, especially in the north. You have to be careful. We see a lot of people like to back up. And if you back up too far, you are completely exposed to cross shots from Charlie Cap. So be very cautious there. But typically I like to see cruisers go for that island. This island over here, you know, also can grab, try to get around the flank here. But this central one is just so important for so many reasons. And that leaves us with battleships. Let's see, clan battle season. We get 2 battleships per team, correct? I believe it's 2. So typically,
Should be.
it is 2.
Yeah, because there's no carriers.
Yeah. So typically, we've talked about this before, but I'll mention it again. It's so important that you go for flank shots, that you do not send all your ships to the same position. So I typically, especially battleships, so I will typically suggest putting 1 battleship middle, like kind of where I'm flying right now, maybe 5 line, with the ability to either flex into western push or to come down the middle. It's very important. You want the option to do either. If you come down the middle, you can shoot west. You can also shoot east with cross shots. Obviously, if you go west, then you're not able to help the east out. So it really depends on what you find with the enemy deployment. That's why I like the 5-line position there. The other battleship, typically you want to put around the 6-7 line. Same reason. You have the ability to choose to go into the center, or you have the ability to choose to go out to the east. Completely up to, you know, you for whichever one is more important. But that's how I would suggest putting a battleship in. Of course, it depends on what kind of battleship you're playing and all that kind of stuff. At tier 10, Kremlin is a ridiculous battleship and probably a very good pick for the east side, because most likely that's where the bulk of the fighting is going to be occurring, and you want to, you know, basically outlast over there. Yamato, Ohio, Montana, I could see going out to the 4-5 line. I could see the same, quite frankly, with 7, except maybe the Yamato. And then what does that leave? Shikishima's in that too, of course. What does that leave? Conqueror can go wherever the heck it feels like. Republique, if you're going to play Republique or Burgonia, obviously those are better suited for flank maneuverability, so I think they're better off going on the west side. South spawn, by the way, is pretty much the exact same positioning for battleships early on. I don't see any need for a different positioning with battleships from the beginning. So, chat, any questions? This has only been 13 minutes, but I feel like I've covered Land of Fire quite well at this point. Do you guys have any questions on this map? Any islands you want me to talk about specifically? Locations? That sort of deal. Anything different to keep in mind for random battles? Oh, deadliest in this particular case, no. Random battle caps are central. So, you know, obviously there's going to be a little bit more emphasis on destroyers going into the middle of the map. And these 2 islands become very important for helping support your team with radar cruisers. Island at Echo 2. Yeah, we talked about that one. Yep. Hey, Teterus. We're doing amazing for Stack Up. Hey, you're welcome, man. Thank you. With a battleship from AB side. Yeah, so like I was talking about is, you know, typically you would put a battleship, if you're going to go AB side, you want to loiter here on the 4-5 line. And I would almost start with a battleship kind of aiming this way so that my guns could go left. Or if I wanted to switch, my guns can go right. And then depending on what the caller wants to happen, you can go middle and have guns left for the sea cap. Right, especially if you've got a ship, like if there's a Des Moines right here, for example, like, you know, right, you want to be able to smack it. You know, you can also point guns to the right if you need to, and work your way down the 1-2 line with guns. Now, if it feels like you need to flank push, then everybody goes together and you send your battleship along this direction and move your way. Yes, the CV is AFK, that is correct. And, you know, move your ships this direction, right? You can do that too. Destroyer spotting area. So destroyer is very important early on. If you are a destroyer on this flank, you want to get to about the E line here, because you want to see what's coming through the B side. That's very important. Okay, and then if you're on the other side, then spotting is going to be not so much. Spotting on the seaside, in my opinion, is more based off of radar cruisers, and those radar cruisers spotting the cap when necessary. Your job on seaside as a destroyer is to just put your butt into sea and then get out, and then butt into sea and then get out, and just keep doing that until eventually you cap or they cap or something like that. I don't really see much gain out of, you know, just kind of sailing, you know, trying to spot over here, for example, on the 9 and 10 line with the destroyer. It's much more important you get the cap. Could you please tell me which flag nation be hung on Jinan instead of Pan Asian with Kuchedra? I do not know.
Holy crap!
What?
Well, we're over $700.
Oh my god, we are! Gaelic Knight! Dude, Gaelic with a $100 donation. Gaelic! By the Pope's poop! Wow! Nicely done, Gaelic. Thank you so much, dude.
Looks like the Sims is being given away.
We're gonna, yeah. So we're gonna close our giveaway for the Sims. And we will be doing that drawing, and then Kitten will do a drawing for our subscriber camouflage next. That's fantastic, you guys. So that pretty much rounds out our talk about Land of Fire. It's sadly a very static, back and forth kind of thing. So yeah, I know it's the new one. I just have no idea what they're going to be doing on it. So there's Land of Fire for you, okay?